It never stops, does it?
Mm-hmm. What doesn't stop, Mark? My notifications? Tell me about it. I've been trying to clear this inbox for 20 minutes, and I'm somehow watching a video about how to make sourdough bread.
No, not the notifications. The sand, Anna. Look at this hourglass. Every single grain represents a second of your life. Once it falls, it's gone. You can flip the glass over to start a new hour, but you can't flip your life over to get back yesterday.
Wow, that's a heavy thought for a Tuesday morning. But you're right. Sometimes I look at my screen time report at the end of the week, and I feel this pit in my stomach. It's like I've been physically here, but my life has been happening somewhere else.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. There is a specific term for that feeling. We call it living on autopilot. It's when you wake up, go to work, eat, scroll, and sleep without ever making a conscious choice. You aren't driving the car, you're just a passenger in your own life.
And the scariest part about autopilot is that it's comfortable. It's easy to just drift with the waves. But as the saying goes, a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. If you feel like you're wasting your potential or like your days are just blurring together into one long gray shadow, this video is for you.
We aren't just here to teach you English today. We are here to help you wake up. We're going to talk about why we squander our most precious resource, time, and how a simple shift in your mindset can turn that leaking bucket of energy into a powerful engine.
So put the phone down, well, after you watch this, of course, and let's get intentional. Let's stop living for the weekend and start living for the now. Welcome back to English for Better Life. I'm Anna.
And I'm Mark. Let's get started. You know, Anna, we just talked about the hourglass, but I have to be honest with you, and with everyone watching, I wasn't always the guy who sat around thinking about the value of time. For a long time, I was the king of tomorrow.
The King of Tomorrow? That sounds like a title for someone very productive, but I have a feeling you mean the exact opposite.
Exactly. My life was a series of, I'll start on Monday. I'll start that project on Monday. I'll start exercising on Monday. I'll learn that new skill on Monday. But the problem is, Monday is a ghost. It never actually arrives the way you imagine it. I spent years in a job that didn't fulfill me, just waiting for a sign from the universe to change.
I think so many people watching right now are nodding their heads. I've been there too. For me, it wasn't about waiting for Monday. It was about the when-then trap. Have you heard of that?
The when-then trap? No, tell me about it.
It's a psychological loop. When I have more money, then I'll be happy. When I get that promotion, then I'll start traveling. When I lose 5 kilograms, then I'll feel confident. We attach our life's meaning to a future event that hasn't happened yet. And while we're waiting for when, we are completely wasting the now.
That's so profound, Anna. When is a destination, but life is the walking. I remember sitting in my apartment a few years ago, looking at a stack of books I bought but never read. I realized that buying the book made me feel like I was making progress, but it was just an illusion. It was fake action.
Oh, fake action is a dangerous one. It's like when you spend 4 hours researching the best English learning apps instead of actually spending 30 minutes practicing speaking. We feel busy, so we think we are being productive. But being busy is often a socially acceptable way of wasting your life.
Ouch, that hits hard. A socially acceptable way of wasting your life. We wear busy like a badge of honor, don't we? We tell people, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time for anything. But if we look at our habits, we have time. We just don't have direction. We're like a rocking horse, moving a lot but staying in the same place.
I love that metaphor, a rocking horse. It's exhausting, but it doesn't take you anywhere. I remember a specific moment when my daughter, Jenny, asked me to play with her. I told her, "Not now, honey, I'm busy." And then 5 minutes later, I caught myself mindlessly checking my emails for the 10th time that hour. I wasn't being productive. I was just avoiding being present. That was my wake-up call. I realized I was squandering the moments that actually mattered for things that didn't matter at all.
That's a lot of courage to admit, Anna, because it's painful to realize we are the ones standing in our own way. We often blame our boss, our environment, or the economy for why our lives feel stagnant. But the truth is, we are the architects of our own stuckness.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but there's a freedom in that realization, right? If I am the one who built the prison, I am also the one who holds the key to the door.
Precisely. But why is it so hard to turn the key? Why do we choose to stay in the gray zone of not quite happy but not quite miserable enough to change?
I think it's because change requires us to face the possibility of failure. If I stay on autopilot, I can't fail because I'm not really trying. But if I decide to be intentional, if I say, this is the life I want to build, and then I don't reach it, that hurts. So we stay in the comfortably numb zone.
Comfortably numb. That's a dangerous place to live. It's where dreams go to die. I've realized that the pain of discipline is much lighter than the weight of regret. Regret is heavy, Anna. It's a backpack of rocks that you have to carry when you're older.
And the rocks get heavier every year you wait. I often think about the people who say, I'm too old to start learning English, or it's too late for me to change careers. But time is going to pass anyway. Whether you spend the next year learning or the next year complaining, that year will go by. The question is, who will you be at the end of it?
That's the core of it. We aren't just talking about time management, we are talking about self-respect. When you waste your life, you are essentially telling yourself that you aren't worth the effort. You are saying that your potential isn't worth the work.
That's a very powerful way to look at it. Self-respect is about keeping the promises you make to yourself. If you promise yourself you'll read for 10 minutes tonight, and you do it, you build trust with yourself. If you break that promise, you lose a little bit of your own power.
I've found that the biggest shift happens when you stop trying to find yourself and start trying to create yourself. You don't find a better life hidden under a rock. You build it, piece by piece, day by day, grain of sand by grain of sand.
It's about those small, unsexy choices. It's choosing the book over the remote. It's choosing the difficult conversation over the silence. It's choosing to be a student again, even when it's embarrassing to make mistakes in English.
Especially then, making mistakes is a sign that you are at the edge of your comfort zone, and the edge of your comfort zone is the only place where growth happens. If you're never embarrassed, you're probably not growing.
So, to everyone listening, if you feel stuck today, or if you feel like you've been wasting time, don't beat yourself up. That's just more wasted energy. Instead, just acknowledge it. Say, okay, I've been on autopilot, but I'm taking the wheel now.
I love that. I'm taking the wheel now. It's not about being perfect from today onwards. It's just about being awake. It's about looking at your life and saying, I am responsible for what happens next.
Exactly, because the most beautiful thing about life is that no matter how much time you've wasted in the past, you still have a whole now waiting for you. The clock resets every second.
Let's make sure the next second counts.
Mark, we've talked a lot about the heavy stuff, the regret, the autopilot, the wasted seconds, but I don't want our listeners to just feel sad. I want them to feel powerful. How do we actually stop the leaking? How do we start building that life we're proud of?
That's the golden question, Anna, and I think the answer starts with a change in how we see our minds. Most people think their life is like a movie they are watching, but I like to think of it as a garden. Your mind, your time, your potential, it's all one big fertile piece of land.
A garden. I love that. But here's the thing about gardens. They don't just stay beautiful by themselves, do they? If I just sit on my porch and hope for roses, I'm probably going to end up with a lot of thorns and tall grass.
Exactly. And that's the first big shift, the law of the weeds. You see, weeds don't need an invitation. They don't need you to plant them. If you do nothing, if you just drift, the weeds of laziness, distraction, and negativity will grow automatically. They are the default setting of an untended mind.
That is so true. It's much easier to scroll through TikTok for 2 hours instead of sitting down and studying 10 new English phrasal verbs. The scrolling is the weed. It grows without any effort. But the English study, that's a seed. You have to choose to plant it, and you have to choose to water it every single day.
Precisely. And here is where most people get overwhelmed. They look at their garden and see a jungle of weeds. They think, oh no, I have to clear the whole forest today. They try to pull every weed at once, they get exhausted, and by Tuesday, they quit and go back to the couch.
I've been that person. I call it the New Year's resolution syndrome. You try to change everything in 24 hours. But the second shift we need is to understand the power of the single seed. You don't need a perfect garden by tomorrow morning. You just need to clear 1 square inch of dirt and plant one good thing.
1 square inch, that's it. In the world of personal development, we call this low floor, high ceiling habits. You make the floor so low that it's impossible to fail. If your goal is to master English, the floor is too high. You'll never step on it. But if your goal is to watch 1 5-minute video and write down 1 sentence, the floor is right there under your feet.
I love that. It's about reducing the friction between who you are and who you want to be. I often tell my students, don't try to be a genius. Just try to be 1% better than the version of you that woke up this morning. If you improve by 1% every day, by the end of the year, you are 37 times better. That's not just growth, that's a transformation.
37 times. Imagine that. Now, let's talk about the watering part. Consistency is the water of the garden. A garden doesn't care if you give it 10 gallons of water once a month, the plants will die. The garden needs a small cup of water every single day. Your brain works the same way. It doesn't want an 8-hour cram session on Sunday. It wants 15 minutes of focus every morning.
That's a great point, Mark. And I think we need to address the weather. In life, it's going to rain. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where you feel stuck or unmotivated. On those days, the weeds will feel stronger. But a gardener doesn't quit just because it's raining. They just wait for the storm to pass and get back to work.
And sometimes the rain is actually good for the garden. Those difficult moments, the mistakes you make in a conversation, the times you forget a word, those are the nutrients. They show you where you need to grow. If you never struggle, your roots will stay shallow. A tree that grows in a storm has the deepest roots because it has to hold on tight.
So the mindset shift is this. Stop being a consumer of your life and start being a gardener. A consumer just takes what is given. If the TV is on, they watch it. If the phone pings, they check it. But a gardener is intentional. They decide what stays and what goes. They protect their space.
Intentionality is the key. Every time you pick up a book instead of a remote, you are pulling a weed and planting a flower. Every time you listen to a podcast in English while you're driving, you are watering your potential. It's not about finding time, Anna. It's about allocating time. We all have the same 24 hours, the president, the billionaire, the artist, and you. The only difference is what we plant in our 24 squares.
I think another important part of this shift is the harvest. We live in a world of instant gratification. We want the fruit right after we plant the seed. But nature doesn't work that way. There is a season for planting and a season for reaping. You can't rush the harvest.
That is so hard for us in the digital age, isn't it? We want the like immediately. We want the fluency immediately. But you have to fall in love with the process of gardening itself. You have to enjoy the feeling of the dirt on your hands. You have to find joy in the act of learning, not just the result of knowing.
Exactly. When you learn to love the watering, the daily practice, the small wins, then the wasting your life feeling disappears because you know that even if the flower hasn't bloomed yet, it's growing under the surface. You trust the process.
So if you're listening to this, ask yourself, what does my garden look like right now? Is it full of digital weeds? Is it overgrown with other people's opinions? It's okay if it is. Today is the day you pick up the shovel, not for the whole forest, just for that first square inch.
And remember, a gardener is never alone. We're here in this community at English for Better Life to garden alongside you. We're all trying to grow something beautiful out of our limited time.
Well said, Anna. Now that we have the mindset, I think it's time we give our friends some actual tools, the words and phrases that will help them describe this journey.
Let's do it. Let's take a look at our vocabulary tour. That was a deep conversation, Mark. I feel like we've planted some really strong ideas. But to make these ideas grow, our friends need the right labels, the vocabulary to express these complex feelings in English.
Exactly. You can't fix a problem if you don't have a name for it. So let's take a look at our first key word from today, autopilot. Anna, how would you explain this to someone who's just reaching a B1 level?
Think of a plane. Sometimes the pilot isn't touching the controls and the plane just flies itself. In life, autopilot is when you do things without thinking. You're not intentional, cố ý. You're just reacting to your phone, your habits, or your boss. If you feel like your days are just blurring together, you're probably on autopilot.
I love that. And when you're on autopilot, you tend to squander your time. That's our second word, to squander, V. It's a much stronger word than waste. If you waste 5 minutes, it's okay, but if you squander your potential, it means you are throwing away something very precious, like money or a great opportunity, in a very foolish way.
It sounds almost painful, doesn't it? Don't squander your youth. It's a warning. And speaking of warnings, let's look at procrastination, N. This is a big one. It's the act of delaying something even though you know it will have bad consequences. Mark, you called it the graveyard of dreams, right?
I did, because procrastination is where we bury all the things we meant to do. I'll do it tomorrow is the favorite lie of a procrastinator. To beat it, you need to be intentional, adjective. This is the opposite of being on autopilot. It means doing something with a clear purpose. If you're intentional about your English, you don't just listen to music, you study the lyrics.
That's a perfect distinction. Now, what about the word you used to describe the result of all that hard work? Fulfillment.
Ah, fulfillment. Many people confuse this with success. Success is often about what other people see, your car, your title, your salary, but fulfillment is internal. It's that deep feeling of satisfaction because you are living a life that matches your values. It's the feeling of a well-tended garden.
And finally, let's talk about momentum, N. This is a physics term that we use in personal development. Momentum is the force or speed you gain when you start moving. Remember the 1% rule we mentioned? When you do one small thing today, you create a little bit of momentum. Tomorrow, it's easier to do 2 things because you already have that push behind you.
It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but with momentum, it becomes unstoppable. These 5 words, autopilot, squander, procrastination, intentional, and momentum, are your tools for today. Use them to describe your journey in the comments.
All right, we've talked about the metaphors, the deep real talk, and the vocabulary, but knowledge without action is just more digital weeds in your garden. It's time to pick up your shovel.
Exactly, Mark. We don't want you to just close this video and go back to scrolling. We want you to prove to yourself right now that you are taking the wheel. So here is your 5-minute micro challenge.
It's very simple. We call it the 3-minute audit. I want you to take a piece of paper or open the Notes app on your phone. Write down one thing you squandered time on today. Be honest. Was it a game? Was it an argument in the comments? Just name it.
And then, right next to it, write down one intentional thing you will do for your future self in the next 10 minutes. Maybe it's practicing 3 English sentences from this video. Maybe it's finally sending that email you've been procrastinating on. Just one small grain of sand.
And here's the most important part. Do it immediately. Don't wait for later. Don't wait for Monday. Do it before the momentum from this video fades away. Remember, you are creating your future self with every small choice.
We would love to see your commitment. In the comments below, type this sentence: I am planting my first seed today, and tell us what that one small action is. We read every single comment, and we are here to cheer you on.
If this conversation touched your heart today, please hit the like button. It helps our English for Better Life Garden grow so we can reach more people who feel stuck.
And if you know someone who's living on autopilot right now, share this video with them. Let's wake up together. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss our next session on building a life you love through English.
Stop drifting, start gardening. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Keep growing.